welcome back. Today's video is going to be on some product recommendations for oily skin as well as acne prone skin. This is a highly requested video. I did a blog post a while back and I asked you guys what you want to see, and a lot of you wanted to see sort of a product recommendation or even a tutorial for acne prone skin as well as oily skin. So hopefully this is helpful for some of you guys. I am going to have a blog post with a lot more product recommendations, so I'll have a link down below. Hopefully you enjoy this, and let's begin. So what you want to know first is that oily skin for the most part comes within. So you have to hydrate yourself. So you have to drink lots of water and you have to use moisturizer. There's a big misconception about if you have oily skin, you shouldn't wear moisturizer because your skin will just become even more oily. That is not true. So if you don't wear moisturizer, your skin is going to produce even more oil. So drink lots of water to hydrate your body and use a good moisturizer so that your body doesn't feel like it needs to produce even more oil to compensate for your dry skin. That's really what's happening. One of the most important things is to find a good moisturizer, because a lot of moisturizers are very rich, because really creamy and rich moisturizers, those are good for preventing wrinkles and aging and things like that. But if you have oily skin, those moisturizers can be a disaster. So one I really like is by SkinCeuticals, and I've talked about this before because I've been using this for years and years and years. I started using this when I had major acne, and when I went to my dermatologist, she recommended this, and ever since 7 years ago or whatever it was, I've been kind of hooked on this. I definitely think this is meant for oily skin. If you have dry skin and you don't have acne, you will hate this foundation, I'm telling you. So some sunscreens that I will recommend for oily skin. I personally love the old Clarins sunscreen, and I used it for years until recently they changed their ingredients. They now use this weird scent that just I don't understand. I don't like the new one, I'll be honest. I hope that they bring the old one back because I'm obsessed with it. So I recently bought the Kiehl's sunscreen and I've been using this every day. I do like it. It's very lightweight, great for acne prone skin, I would say. It doesn't really break you out. I'm not a fan of the smell either. I don't know why these sunscreens have this weird scent, but other than the scent, I love the sunscreen. I think it's pretty good. Moving on to primers. If you have oily skin, I recommend using a primer every single day just because it will prevent, shine around the T-zone. There are a few primers that I really like. The first one is by Urban Decay. This one is really good because it does mattify your skin and it does sort of help with pores as well. It's called the Pore Perfecting Complexion Primer Potion. And so when I use this, I like to use this just on my T-zone and around where I have pores. I wouldn't recommend using this all over your skin. It's just not gonna work out well. Just use this on the T-zone. Anyway, when you shine throughout the day, it's mainly on the T-zone. It's not really like all over the skin. So it's great just to use this on the T-zone. Another great primer is by Benefit, and this one is the Porefessional Primer. Same concept. I would again use this just on the T-zone. It's definitely mattifying, so you're gonna feel like throughout the day your makeup is gonna last a long time. Moving on to foundation. Now, if you have oily skin, you wanna use long-lasting foundations, and you also wanna use matte foundations. Some drugstore ones that I really like are the Neutrogena one, as well as the L'Oreal Infallible one. I actually used this in a recent tutorial. It was a waterproof, sweatproof makeup tutorial that I did. I'll link it down below. I used this one. It's really good, but again, every single foundation that's for oily skin and that is a matte foundation is going to be a little heavy. So you have to buff it in using a foundation kabuki brush. So definitely use one of these guys and really buff it in so that it doesn't look too cakey, and that way it will give you more of a natural finish. A high-end foundation that I really like is the Giorgio Armani. I've used this many times. It's definitely my favorite foundation, and it's great for acne-prone skin because I personally have acne-prone skin. I don't break out when I use this, so I definitely like it. I would say it's great for oily skin as well, but it's not going to be as mattifying as some of the other foundations that I'm talking about, but it's still a great one for kind of every day. Another really good foundation is by MAC, and it is the Pro Longwear foundation. Again, it's going to be very heavy, but it's great. It does last a long time, and you're not going to feel like you're getting oily, or your skin isn't going to feel too shiny when you use that foundation. Moving on to concealer. There are tons of concealers out there, but if you want something for oily skin, I would definitely recommend the MAC prolong wear concealer. This stuff is awesome. It doesn't move. For brides, this is amazing. When I did makeup, I used to use this every single time I did bridal makeup because I knew for sure they were going to be happy. It wasn't going to crease throughout the day and things like that. So it's a great concealer. It does come in NWs as well as NCs. So NW is a pink base undertone, and then NC is more yellow. Yellow is great for highlighting. NW is great for concealing dark circles. So if you have under eye circles, you definitely want to use the NW and not the NC. If you don't have dark circles, you can totally use the NC. It'll conceal as well as highlight, so it's great because you can do both with one product. Moving on to translucent powders and setting powders. If you have oily skin, you definitely want to use a puff versus a brush, because a brush will kind of just dust the powder, and it's great if you have just regular normal skin, but if you have oily skin, you want to use a puff. This is going to give you a very different effect. It's going to mattify your skin. It's going to help the foundation to stay on for the rest of the day. So the way I like to use a puff is whatever powder that I'm using, I like to just dip my puff into the powder, kind of tap the excess a little bit, and you want to just start applying this under your eyes first, and then the center of your skin. Once you have the product on, then you can grab a fluffy brush like this one and kind of dust away all of the powder so that it looks very natural, but it instantly mattifies your skin. So definitely use a puff first, whatever translucent powder you like. Use a puff first and then go back to a brush and kind of dust everything so that it's nice and clean. Some of the products that I like in terms of powders are the Makeup Forever HD High Definition Powder. Now this stuff is amazing if you are using it for TV and film. So right now I'm on camera, I use this, it looks wonderful. If you use this and you try and take a picture with flash photography, you will have white powder all under your eye area. Everywhere this powder goes, you will have that white residue. Another translucent powder that I love is by Laura Mercier. I am completely out of it now, but it's a great powder. They come in 2 shades, I believe, a white and something a little bit more on the ivory side. I used to get the ivory one. It's great for all skin types. It's very lightweight and it does set the makeup in place very well. So that's another great one. Bare Minerals makes a really good one as well. This one is the Perfecting Veil. The technique is more important when it comes to setting your makeup with powder than the actual powder itself. So as long as you use this technique of, you know, the puff, pressing it, and then buffing it with a brush, you will be fine. Now let's move on to highlighting and contouring. So if you have oily skin, you want to stay away from shimmers and, you know, frosty things, because that's gonna make your skin look oily after about an hour. So if you must use a highlighter, just use very little and apply it just on the high points of your cheeks. Use a very subtle highlighter, nothing too frosty like I said. But if you are really oily, I probably wouldn't even use any highlighters, because within an hour your natural oils will give you that beautiful dewy finish anyway. So just skip that step and move on to something matte. Use a matte bronzer. Like this one is great by Too Faced. I've used this many times. It is the chocolate bronzer. I use the medium deep, but they have a couple of different shades you can choose from. It's just a matte bronzer. It's going to give you, you know, cheekbones and all that good stuff. You can use something like this. It's just a cream base highlight contour palette. This one's by Anastasia Beverly Hills. If you use very little of this and set everything with a powder, you will still have those highlights. You will still have the contours, but nothing will shine as much as, you know, a shimmery highlighter or a shimmery bronzer. Same thing goes for eyeshadows. If you want your eyelids to stay matte, then use, you know, an all matte palette. Like this one is by Lorac. There are tons of matte palettes out there. Just use something that doesn't have shimmer. Moving on to liners. If you want your eyeliners to stay on for the entire day, you want to use a waterproof eyeliner. One of my favorite ones is by Inglot. They have many different colors. This stuff will not move. Again, when I did bridal makeup, this is exactly what I used on all my brides, whether it was brown or black. This was the brand that I went to, just because the stuff doesn't move. Like, you can put it on the inner rim of your eye, you can put it, you know, really close to your lash line. It's just not gonna move. It's gonna stay for a long time. A drugstore brand that I really like is the Wet n Wild H2O Proof. This is a waterproof eyeliner and it is a liquid liner, so it's great if you want a very crisp line and it's not going to move throughout the day. Moving on to blush. Now there's only one blush that I can think of that's great for oily skin that I personally love, and it is by Tarte Cosmetics. It's their 12-hour blushes. It does last a very long time. It doesn't move. Most of them are matte. If they have shimmer, it's very, very, very light, so it's going to be great for oily skin. It's also great for acne-prone skin. It doesn't really break you out, so I think it's an overall wonderful blush to have. Lastly, you want to use a setting spray. A great one is by Urban Decay. So after you're done with your makeup, just go ahead and spray some on your face, and then that'll just help your makeup to stay on for a long time. If you want recommendations on cleansers, face washes, and things like that, check the blog post because I'm going to have all of that on the blog post. That's gonna do it for this video. If you want to recommend anything for oily skin, acne prone skin, please leave a comment down below so that we can all check it out and, you know, we'll have a little conversation happening down below. Other than that, I will see you guys very soon. I love you so much. Mwah. Bye.